Hello, I'm Doug Christie, General Counsel of the Canadian Free Speech League. I've defended many of the famous cases in Canada on the subject of freedom of speech. And one of the important things I'm here to talk about right now is the tremendous courage shown by Rowan Atkinson, the rather funny British comedian, who has advocated the repeal and reform of Section 5 of the Public Order Act. There is in fact a website called reformsection5.org.uk, which carries a good deal of this information. The importance of this subject, I think, is to emphasize the value of free speech for those in the media who are funny, who are in the business of communicating sarcasm and humor. Essentially, we live in a stuffy, very formalistic, serious age when even people who are rather frivolous, like some of the presidential candidates, present themselves as very serious and take themselves entirely seriously as well. So we don't have room for insult, and Rowan Atkinson's slogan, I guess, in that campaign is "Feel free to insult me." Because if we aren't free to insult those who we strongly disagree with, the result often is that we resort to more devious and less honorable ways to confront our political and intellectual enemies. We need to be able to say strong and forceful things in a free society in order to find what is essential to every single one of us, which is the truth. Yes, the truth. It can make us very uncomfortable at times. And one of the funniest things I recently heard and saw was something that happened at a George Orwell Free Speech Award dinner, where one speaker said something that a member of the audience found made them uncomfortable. Yes, and it had every reason to make them feel uncomfortable. I don't object to that in the slightest. And very bravely they stood up and said it made them feel uncomfortable. Fine. That's what speech frequently does. And it's the time when it makes you feel uncomfortable that the issue of free speech is really important, because it is obviously something you care about. We're all very great at advocating free speech to say virtually nothing, or nothing controversial, or nothing that offends, or nothing that causes anyone to think new thoughts that make them uncomfortable. Well, if we were to live in a world where all those exceptions to the rule about free speech existed, we wouldn't need free speech at all, because we'd all be free to agree, but not to disagree. And the great thing about disagreement is that it creates learning, thinking, the development of new ideas, and the realization that nobody has a monopoly on truth, but everybody has a contribution to make to the truth. And we should never exclude anyone from the consideration of what might be the truth until we have heard them. I used to think a long time ago it was very simple. Audi alteram partem. Hear both sides. Well, there's more than two sides, of course. But until you've heard from anybody, you can never really judge them. You certainly can't judge them accurately on the basis of what somebody else says about them. And that, unfortunately, in my case, and about me personally, I have realized is the biggest problem, because most people never hear from me, they just hear about me. They hear all of what my enemies say about me, but they don't hear directly from me. And that's the great thing about the internet, and the equally great thing about YouTube is that you can see and hear and I guess form your own opinion. But I say, and it is the essential element of all I say, that freedom of speech is the essential ingredient to know and understand and gradually, I think, love the truth. Let's all hope that Rowan Atkinson in this campaign to reform Section 5 of the Public Order Act, which I might say I defended in the case of Lady Jane Birdwood in the Old Bailey, 25 years ago, let's hope that they are really successful, and gradually throughout the British common law system, starting with the great beginning of the common law system in Britain, free speech will gradually be resurrected from this politically correct era in which we have come to live, when you've got to be careful what you say, and you've got to be sure that you're popular before you say it. So I think it's a very important topic, something you and I need to talk about some more. So thanks for listening.